Before we dive into the review of the Ortofon X40, let me tell you a story about the cartridge journey that brought me here. This cartridge is mounted on my Pro-Ject RPM 9, now fitted with the upgraded Evo Carbon Premium Tone Arm. By the way, I have already made a full review of those new tone arm for Pro-Ject, not only the carbon one, but also in comparisons against the AS tone arm. So be sure to check that out first, because it turned out to be a genuinely impressive upgrade. And my journey started with the Ortofon Quintet Bronze. I don't know if you remember, probably yes, which actually came pre-mounted on the RPM 9. I always thought of it as a romantic cartridge. It had a smooth, inviting presentations, a touch of warmth, rich mid-range textures, and a forgiving nature that made long listening sections incredibly enjoyable. After that came the ANA SL. At the time I was looking for more detail, more transparency, and greater technical performance. And the ANA delivered exactly that, bringing improved resolutions and separations while still maintaining a very musical presentations. So ANA SL, why not try the ML, right? The superior model. And this was my next cartridge. In many ways it was an outstanding cartridge, the imaging was exceptional, the soundstage was huge, and its ability to extract details from the grooves was remarkable. But in my room with my system and ultimately for my personal taste, the top end was just a little too open and forward. Not necessarily wrong, nothing was wrong, but was not the balance I was looking for in my environment and with my system, right? And that brings us to today. I am back with Ortofon and the new MC X40. Looking for what could be a sweet spot between technical performance and musicality, refinement and long-term listening enjoyment. So let's talk about the Ortofon MC X40. So what Ortofon is trying to achieve with this moving coil cartridge and how it differs from the Quintet generation. The MC X series consists of 5 models starting with the MC X10 and going all the way up to the flagship MC X50 that was recently announced to the high-end Vienna. I have prepared here a comparisons chart so you can quickly see the differences across the range. One minor criticism is that the entire series is available only in black, and personally I would have liked to see some color options like we had with previous Ortofon generations. As for why I choose the XC40, well, very easy. I wanted to stay below the €1,000. Looking at the specifications, the X40 appears to be where some of the most magnificent upgrade in the lineup take place. In many ways, the MCX series represents a fresh start for Ortofon in this price range category. Rather than simply updating the Quintet line, Ortofon has rethought almost every aspect of the design. The first things that stand out is of course the new body design. Instead of PC body used in the Quintet series, the MCX40 features a stainless steel body combined with a honeycomb core structure. The goal here is straightforward: increase rigidity, reduce unwanted resonance, and create a more stable platform for the generator system. But what was making the 40 to me very appealing? Looking at the progressions from the X10 to the 50, you move from an elliptical stylus to a nude elliptical, then a nude fine line, before reaching the nude Shibata of the MC40, and finally the nude micro ridge found on the flagship MC50. But the stylus profile is not the only upgrade here. The MC40 is also the first model in the lineup to move from an aluminum cantilever to a boron cantilever. So a significant step. probably for offer more stiffness while remaining extremely lightweight. Why I haven't tested the X10, 20 and 30, unfortunately, we can say definitely that on the paper is actually a significant upgrade. Internally, Ortofon uses high purity silver coil wire throughout the MCX series, combined with a low internal impedance of just 6 ohms and an output voltage of 0.4 millivolt. So should work definitely fine with modern moving coil phono stage. And if you didn't, I had a great, was top 5 or top 10, now I'm not remember by the way, of best phono stages that we tested here at MedAudio. Please check the video. One thing I almost forgot to mention is the Stylus guard. Finally, Ortofon has designed one that's genuinely easy to install and remove. So on paper, we can say that the MC X40 offers a very promising specifications set. But as always, specifications only tell part of the story. But before talking about the actual setup here, I did a run into one small and rather unexpected issue during the installation. My usual premium cartridge screw, which have worked perfectly with the previous Ortofon and HANA cartridges, didn't seem to fit with the MC X40 properly. The supplied metric screw worked without issue, so I simply used those instead. I love my gold screws. I purchased from US actually, and should be metric too if I'm not wrong, but for some reasons didn't fit in the XC40. Didn't had any problem with ANA, and Ortofon also any problem? Strange. So a minor point, not a deal breaker, but it is the first time I have experienced something like that. As for alignment, I found the MC X40 slightly more challenging than the Quintet series. The front of the cartridge body is relatively compact, much like the 2M series, which makes it a little harder to use as a visual reference point during alignment. That said, if we are being precise, we should be align the stylus itself and not the cartridge body. So it's more a convenience observations rather than a criticism. Once aligned, I set the recommended tracking force of 2 grams, kept anti-skating at the minimum settings and adjusted VTAs. For this review, I wanted to give the MC40 the best possible environment. The system consisted of the excellent Menger Audio P2 loudspeaker featuring bending wave technology, please check my video on it, driven by the SPL Elector preamplifier, SPL 1200 power amplifier. As phono stage, I have my reference Parasound JC3 Plus set to 100 ohms. Ortofon here is recommending a load resistance above 50 ohm, and I found 100 ohm to be my sweet spot. So, how does the MC X40 sound? After living with it for several months actually, what struck me was not a particular aspect of the cartridge, but the balance. The MC X40 is one of those cartridges that appear to me able to do basically everything. And whether I was listening jazz, classical music, soundtracks, movie soundtracks, acoustic recordings, rock, it always felt comfortable and convincing. Let's start with the bass. One thing that I certainly noticed is the amount of bass, weight and slam this cartridge can deliver. Bass notes have real authority and physical presence. Yet the X40 never sounded slow or bloated. There is plenty of impact, but also excellent speed and agility. It can hit hard when the recording demands it, while still preserving textures and nuance within the bass lines. Mid-range is equally impressive. Vocals appear to me slightly forwarded in the presentations, just a little bit to make them more three-dimensional, but never aggressive or prominent. Instead, they draw natural attentions and become the center of the stage. There is a wonderful sense of body and realism to voices and instruments. Piano strings, guitars and brass all sound rich and believable without becoming overly thick or colored. The treble is perhaps where the X40 surprised me the most. Coming from the ANA ML, I expected to miss some of the openness and air. Instead, I found the presentations that felt more natural and better balanced within my systems. The top end is neutral, refined, and still extended, but without never exaggerated. The Shibata Stylus retrieves an impressive amount of information from the grooves, yet it never sounds like it's trying to impress you with detail. There is no artificial spotlight effects, and details simply emerge naturally from the groove. And that ultimately what defined the X40 for me. It captures beautiful nuance hidden in the grooves, while always keeping a sense of charm, smoothness and musicality. Love it. Another standout characteristic is the remarkably quiet background. In fact, this may be one of the quietest cartridges I have used in my system. Records that I previously considered difficult to enjoy suddenly become far more listenable. It almost felt as though some of them had been professionally cleaned before playback. One example was a couple of Deutsche Grammophon records that I loved, but I never particularly enjoyed them sonically. With the MC X40, however, the experience changed completely. Listening to Seong-Jin Cho performing Debussy, the piano notes felt still articulated and expressive, yet the overall presentations remained relaxed and inviting. The same things happened with John Williams. The bass drum carried noticeably more weight and slam, while the entire orchestra presentations become more immersive and emotionally engaging. So what impressed me the most is that the X40 managed somehow to improve the listening experience of less than perfect recordings without sacrificing detail and transparency. X40 it's detailed without becoming analytical, it's smooth without becoming soft, it's revealing without becoming too open, and perhaps that's why I enjoyed living with it so much. So I found myself listening record after record, also those records that are not high quality pressing. Now let's talk about comparisons, because as you saw in the specification chart, I also included the Ortofon 2M Black, Quintet Black S, both of which sit in a very similar price category. The Quintet Black S is perhaps the more interesting comparisons because represent the cartridge that the MC X40 replaces. I haven't personally tested the Quintet S, I only tested the Quintet not orange, bronze, so I can't comment on the sonic differences. But looking purely on the specifications, the MC X40 appears to offer several improvements at exactly the same price point. Channel separations increase from 23 to 26, output voltage rises from 0.3 to 0.4, making the cartridge easier to match with a wider range of phono stage. Tracking force also drops from 2.3 grams to 2 grams. So at least on paper the X40 looks like a very compelling evolution of the Quintet concept. But the comparisons I was most interested in was against the AnalogMagik, of course, because that's the cartridge I've lived with before moving on the MC X40. Looking at the specs, the AnalogMagik is undeniably impressive. Channel separations is rated 30 dB compared to the 26 dB of the X40. And honestly, I can believe it because imaging and soundstage are a bit superior. It represents instruments with a little more space around them and creates a slightly bigger sense of scale. One interesting difference is that the cantilever material, despite being the more expensive cartridge, the AnalogMagik uses an aluminum cantilever, whereas the MC X40 uses boron. Let me know what you think about it in the comment sections down below. It also measures the frequency response of both cartridges and using AnalogMagik, and the result aligned closely with what I was hearing. The MC40 shows a slightly warmer overall tonal balance, while the AnalogMagik exhibit a noticeable rise in the upper frequency above roughly 10 kHz. In my system, this translated into a more open, airy, and ultimately brighter presentation. From a purely technical perspective, I would probably give the edge to the AnalogMagik. It extracts an extraordinary amount of information from the groove, delivers a huge soundstage, and offers superb imaging precision. However, when it's come to long-term listening enjoyment, I constantly prefer the MC X. The reason is simple, is less demanding of recording, less demanding of pressing quality, and less demanding of the overall system balance. Poor recordings remain enjoyable, average pressing becomes more listenable, and great recordings still sound fantastic. AnalogMagik on the other hand can be a bit ruthless. Give it a great pressing will reward you with amazing performance. Feed it with poor pressing and I won't hesitate to expose every flaw. I could be wrong, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about it. Because for me the X40 strikes the more satisfying balance between resolutions and enjoyment. Before wrapping up the review, I also performed a resonance test. Mounted on my Pro-Ject RPM9 fitted with the EvoCarbon premium tone arm, the X40 produced a resonance peak at 9.57 Hz. And that's almost exactly where you had want to be and confirms excellent compatibility between the cartridge and the tone arm, with stable and predictable behavior throughout my testing. So in the end, what makes the X40 amazing for me is not that it dominates in every technical aspect. Instead, it is how well balances musicality, resolutions, refinement, and long-term listenability, and prove to be a cartridge that align better with my setup and environment. Of course, also taste, this is a very subjective. But the fact that was forgiving to most of my, probably all pressing, since I don't have only high quality pressing, I can definitely say that I had more fun with it. In many ways feels like a cartridge I've been searching for quite a while, at least in this price range. And that's it from Mad Audio's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If yes, hit the like buttons, consider to subscribe, let me know in the comment sections down below what you think about the new moving coil series of Ortofon. See you, ciao ciao.